Robert, what about the whole notion of angels? For example, do we all have an archangel or protective angel watching over us?
Yeah, can you tell us more about archangels?
Oh, you want archangels too? Yeah, yeah. Okay, so every one of us has a guardian angel that unites with us as our soul descends through the orbs of the planets, Saturn, Jupiter, Mars, and we come down through the orbs of the planets. And each of us, when we get to the moon, our big spiritual soul that freed itself from the last earth incarnation. So we died last lifetime and we purify ourselves from our desires and fears, and a third of our life we hang out this side of the moon to see what happened and how we affected life. And then we let go of subtle bodies and we go out and visit the starry spiritual kingdoms of angels and archangels and we experience God within ourselves and others. And when we reincarnate, we let go of the heavenly realms and the enlightened realms. And when we get to the moon, we drink the draught of forgetfulness after we promise to do all these great things. And we come down to earth and we have conscience and wonder and awe and inquisitiveness that lead us and trip us into our karma, good and bad, right? And try to encourage us to become conscious of ourselves. And our holy guardian angel is a representative of our own higher self. Steiner adds to this enigma the idea that we have a lesser guardian of the threshold that protects us from getting too high on kissing or love or sex or drugs or alcohol or pleasures or whatever we do to get high, or even try to destroy ourselves. A lot of people are self-destructive, right? Suicidal in a subtle way. And we either get too high and go crazy, or we get too dragged down and go numb.
So, what might be on someone's mind is, what about the devil? Is that an angel a good angel that just lost its way somehow?
So that's Chuck talking, and Susan's here too, and they both have worked at Mayflower, still do. They actually still do. Lately they did. Marianne's talk. There is no, to me, on a practical all-American mystic level that I'm at a lot of times, there is no devil outside of ignorance and delusion. Ignorance of the true nature of the self, that we're everything, nothing, and we have a mind, possible, or lack of everything, nothing, and a mind, lack of silence and peace, and lack of connection to everything, and lack of a mind that can be co-creative with the future destiny of ourselves and others. Co-creative with the oneness, and so I think the devil is the word lived backwards. So the devil really is, there's a book called The History of the Devil by Karis that we sell that's really great about the history of the devil. Just for one example, the Tibetan Buddhists have these blue meanie, devilish monster guys who eat everything and destroy everything and recreate it, It's like the Durga or the dark goddess, And this is like similar to Steiner's lesser dweller on the threshold. So there is a force of the universe that time is up and everything gets destroyed and you can't go to school anymore and you get graded and we die and get born again somewhere else. I mean, so did I answer your question a little bit? First of all, there is no devil. There is no God unless we prove it by the way we live. And there is no devil unless we prove it by the way we live. That's practically speaking. But it depends on these 7 levels of the physical, etheric, and the astral, and the ego level, and the universal higher mindedness, and the universal higher love, unifying principle, and the higher truths that make us all one. at-one-ment rather than atonement. So there is no sin other than acting out of separateness, see? So when we act out of separateness, we cause bad karma. And we think the bad karma is negativity and the devil working, but it's really our own karma. Blavatsky in The Secret Doctrine, she says if we were smart, we wouldn't worship God. We would worship Karma Nemesis. Because in the sense of the seventh principle, which is really the first principle of at-one-ment, of Atma, there is no separateness. And ultimate compassion and love is the vehicle of the oneness. There's a oneness that I experience. And all the great sages and saints in Osho and Blavatsky and Steiner, they experienced it. Ramakrishna. They experienced this at-one-ment. And you experience the oneness in such a great way, there's no one looking at the oneness. But then comes out of compassion, we want to share that oneness with other people. It belongs to nobody. Be nobody, and it will belong to you. And so then after the oneness comes the compassion and the Buddhic principle that's a vehicle for the oneness to show itself. And then if you really have your guts together, it's the thinking that I can explain it to you now, the manas principle, rather than man as ass, the manas. The Sanat Kumara, who sits under the Bodhi tree in silence and all of his students are enlightened. I cannot wait that long. Pontius Pilate hears Jesus say, Pontius Pilate asks Jesus, who are you? And Jesus says, I am the way, the life, and the truth. And Pontius Pilate knows he has him now. He says, catch 22. And what is the truth? And Jesus falls silent. So the truth is something that holds us all that can only be explained as a divine presence and silence that holds you. Maybe I'll say something so beautiful you'll go, oh, wow. Can you say that again? No, I forgot already because I was experiencing it too. When you experience that, music, I'll write music spontaneously and make up a song. People go, you should tape that. And I'll try to tape it and it's gone. Because I was in that Buddha manas where I could communicate the oneness that came through the divine. But then when we come back to the lower mind, I was in the feel of it. So at these higher levels, there's no devil. There's this idiot. The word idiot, the word id, it's a tat of idiot. It's not thoth. It's not tat, om tat sat, I am that. I am this and that. I am the ignorance and the wisdom. The ignorance is thinking that I can help anybody and I'm doing this little talk.
Yeah, well, I'm sure there are people out there, as soon as they hear the word angel, they automatically...
Well, the angel, we have a guardian angel that is our own higher self that is personified as this angel. And there is such a thing as elementals of fire, earth, air, and water. And there's several levels of angels, the 7 sacred planets and the 7 tones of music and the 7 colors, major colors, 3 primary and secondary and what grabs them all, There's the, in my astrology book, Astrological Aspects of the Art, you'll see a triangle of Atma, Buddha, Manas, or Father, Son, Father, Mind, Holy Mother, Brahma, Vishnu, Shiva. And then you'll see that's the spirit, the higher triad. And then there'll be a 6-pointed star of interlaced triangles or vortexes. There'll be like the earth giving its point in an opening up vortex that looks like a downward pointing triangle, but it's really the point opening up to the sky like a flower. And then you'll see the monad or the God spark of the sun or star opening up like a triangle, downward, opening up like a spiral. And they meet, and you have the interlaced triangles of King Solomon's seal found on the Great Pyramid, or the square and compass of the Masons and Rosicrucians. The spirit and matter, the square and compass, the circle and square, spirit and matter. And that's the soul. The soul, and then down below is the circle and cross of the Rosicrucians and the symbol for earth, the four-chambered heart of the heart, fire, earth, and water, the circle and square. So you have the triangle, the cube, or the interlaced triangles, and you have, because interlaced triangles, you draw a line around the side, and you have a hexagon, and you draw a line to the center, and you have a sense of a Y, and so that's all explained in sacred geometry. For those of you who can follow me, great. Otherwise, close your eyes and take a breath and have the mystical experience that your spirit, soul, body, a triangle, interlaced triangles, hexagon, and a circle and cross as the body, spirit, soul, body. The body is the physical, emotional, mental, and a sense of ego that's hooked into the physical, emotional, mental. And the ego's in trouble. The ego's sick. The ego's ill. The reincarnated ego's ill. And to make it healthy, the ego has to identify with manas and buddhi and atma, or Steiner's spirit self, life spirit, and spirit human or spirit man. Manas, man being thinker. Woman, wo thinker, ma thinker, man, ma. Male, female there. And so the angel is the ennobling virtues. There's really 6 archangels. The 7th is the wisdom Sophia. That's at the root of the archangels. The archangels, Steiner goes into it in the 4 major archangels of the 4 seasons, in the 4 seasons in the archangels in the cycle of the year of Steiner. But Blavatsky goes into it way deeper, that the Dayan koans, like the really secret of it that I shouldn't really say, so don't listen. One of you shouldn't listen, but the other one should listen. And you who are listening to this, one part of you shouldn't listen and the other part should try to listen. That there's a no self that knows everything, but we're so noisy and can't be quiet, we don't know it. The pure silence is the ultimate pure substance within ourselves that is animated by a ray that comes out of the absolute causeless cause, rootless root, beyond the beyond. Any thought or word we say to it mars the sense of this holy of holy, beyond thinking and feeling. And so then it becomes a divine silence that is the immaculate conception of pure substance. And then from that comes, like the one without another is here. So in the Pythagorean sacredness, see, there's a one without another. And then when there's one has a companion, that's the pure substance that can take any shape. And so 1 + 2 is 3. And that third one is a divine 7 that comes forth, that are Dayan koans and the colors and the archangels. Those are the 7 that are the 6-pointed star, that are the highest virtues that we know. The prajna paramita. The prajna is the emptiness within the 6. That's the prajna is the grasp of the 6 archangels of virtues. And so then comes the falling out of the 4 earth elementals, and the 5th is the center, and the circle is the 6th, and the 7th brings you into the wisdom of the Sophia, of the heroic, for lack of better words, we'll use Artemis at this point, as the center of the hexagram. You get it? So you have the triangle, the 6th, and the earth. And so when you're at the center of the circle and cross, the Rosicrucians, and you're born out of your heart's, listening to your heart's stillness, and virtue awakens, you go into the virtues as a path, as a practical spiritual path. It's not to manipulate numbers. It's to awaken something that we could do to make the world better. And what there is to do is nothing at first, until we have a pure notion of what we're doing. And we have a relationship to the real angel and the archangels. And the archangels are working for about 350-year cycles, if not 1,260 or even 2,600 years. I mean, the angel works on a physical level in the yearly cycle, and works on the etheric level in threefold and 7-day cycles, maybe. Actually, a 7-day cycle is more related to the astro, and the etheric would be the moon cycle. And the personal angel waxes and wanes with its message during the moon cycle and the daily cycle. But we have to watch it in a brand new way that I don't have time to explain right now, but there's a daily cycle, and there's a weekly cycle, and there's a monthly cycle, and there's a yearly cycle. And these are like the four, the physical, etheric, astral, and ego way of approaching the angel that I don't have time to go into right now. But see, what a lot of people do with metaphysics is they look for a way to manipulate it so they can gain advantage and protect themselves, rather than that we can learn to transform ourselves into angels. And the human being has potential to be the angel. The human being has potential to be the 10th spiritual hierarchy. We could say that, well, I think I'm getting too far away from the subject, so I just want to say that our personal guardian angel, when we're right about something, it gives us an acclamation about it somehow. It reflects that we're right intuitionally. And when we're wrong, it kind of like, if we'll listen with our heart, it will say you're going wrong. Like you're about to go on a new adventure and invest in something with your money, your energy, your time, or your love. And if you're about to embark on something new, should I ask for a raise? This something new. Yeah. And we're quiet, and we're quiet, and we listen, and the Christos, Lord of Karma, and our Holy Guardian Angel will give us an indication of how things will turn out. When we are really thinking like what Marianne Williamson's trying to do, when you're really trying to think of how I could do something that would affect all of Michigan or all of Detroit or all the states, the whole United States, and then the world, we're working with archangels. We're working with something that takes a year to even have the slightest thought about. Takes 7 years to have a further thought about. It takes 360 some years to have a further thought about. It takes like 100 years and a day. It takes like 350 years or precession of the equinox, 2160 years. Or 2160 years, 2400 years. So the archangels are working with large groups of people. And so who of us is so selfless that everything we do is working for not only our tribe, but the tribe of the United States and thus the world? I mean, that's really hard to figure out. So meeting your own personal guardian angel is a real trip. But when you meet archangels, you meet the fiery bush that Moses met. You meet like a fiery, flaming angel that does not want to talk to you because it's already pissed it had to come this low to get close to you, and you could burn up in it. This is where Semele tells Dionysius, I have to know who you really are, or I have to stop making love to you. Who are you really? Because she's afraid to ask who she is. So we're always interested in who the other person is. And to really see ourselves or the other person is to see our divine nature of light and warmth, which is the Atma Buddha. And unless you have the mind that can handle and contain that, and then an astral body, an etheric body, and a physical body, that the etheric body has to buffer even the astral proclivity and reflection of such a thing, where you burn up. And a lot of people get too high and fry on their money or their dream or their big house or their winning the lottery, or they fry on their drug or sex life and their movie stardom and their hit record. They fry because they have no garden of the etheric vitality. They have no healthy rhythm in their life of the etheric. They have no cosmic wisdom of the past, earth evolutions.
How is there an opposite way to that where people get lost in the cold darkness?
To numb out to everything I'm saying. And you don't want to hear any of this, and you don't want to hear what the church guys are telling you or the rabbi, and you don't want to hear what the Tibetan lamas say, and you don't want to hear what Marianne Williamson says. People put down Marianne Williamson and can't quote her.
Right.
People put down Osho and can't quote him. They put down Rudolf Steiner, or they claim that they are Rudolf Steiner and they can only repeat and read the exact thing but can't think for themselves what Steiner is saying. Even though Rudolf Steiner said, if you read 5 or 7 of my books, my major books, you'll be able to give the talks. Who can do that? In a new way, give the talk. Because nobody wants to have any work to do. They want to either secure and safeguard themselves, which is an eventual frozenness of their sex center and their thinking center and their heart. Because when you say cold numbness, a lot of that cold numbness isn't seen. Like Armin wants you to be numbed out and cold and indifferent about hundreds of people losing their town. You just can't take it after a while. And then the other side of it is that you are so humbled, you want to give them all your money, and you don't know how to help yourself, and you can't help people close to you, but you're going to send all this money to help people far away. People are always trying to help people far away. Why don't you send all your money to the guy next door's garden before his house burns down? So, I mean, this is a catch-22, because how can you love your neighbor as yourself when you love the least among us, you love me, Jesus says. Father, forgive them, they know not what they do. How many of us have hate and non-forgiveness to people? How many of us have undigested experience of bad experience and we've never made sense of it yet? So even if we're so polite that we don't put down the person, we put down the experience. It's no good experience. I have been carrying it for years. It's undigested. I think it's in my poop, but I cannot poop it out. What is it, Popeye poop deck? What is it?
Poop deck paw.
Poop deck paw, yeah. Sidekick, yeah. The poop deck paw in Christianity is the instant enlightenment of getting knocked off your horse with St. Paul. And you have this brilliant, you don't need to meet Christ directly. You can meet it through an illumination of near-death experience. And then all of a sudden you're on the path to the light. And that Steiner thought that we should all be able to see the reappearance of Christ in the etheric. Alice Bailey talked about this. Many people talk about the avatar and the descent of the... this whole idea of 35 crucified saviors. There's a book titled that or something. And all the people that were born around the winter solstice that were born of a virgin, Apollo, Mithras, Krishna, the Rominaria, Saturnalia. They must have had 50 or 60 Osiris. They're all born of a virgin. And so that everybody would go to the big new sun born within our heart and mind celebration at solstice time. And so the Catholic Church had to change their spring Christmas and put it at Christmas time at the winter solstice. So I could go on forever, actually, but the idea is that the personal guardian angel is something that we can tune into through meditation and be guided by our higher self. And when we become enlightened or a Buddha or Christ-like, we free our guardian angel. We become an angel and we free our guardian angel to become an archangel, to join Buddha in this astral realm of Mars energy of healing the war.
Well, that's something there, that last sentence you said I could use to tell people.
Yeah.
Because they're
Thank
not
you.
going to get all the other
Yeah, yeah.
And I didn't even get all of it, but you know,
Yeah.
I got enough of it.
Yeah. And when we become an angel, which means that we're operating out of virtue and that we're transforming our lower guardian of the threshold into the higher guardian of the threshold of the Christ being or the Son being. We're redeeming the Luciferic spirits by mother love and compassion, and we're redeeming Armin by virtuous sharings with other people. And I can stop. I want to stop now because we'll continue. We'll pick this up at how to become an archangel and how to get in touch with the six-pointed star and the Sophia. I think the Sophia mystery helps us become an archangel, but it's only half the mystery. And the Sophia mystery is a triple mystery that very few people understand, and we'll talk about that another time. Hey, bless your heart. This is Robert of MayflowerBookshop.com. And if I did nothing else but confuse you, if I did nothing else but put a burr under your saddle so you'll now bump and rock and roll, and you'll be a buckaroo bongo. If I did nothing else but help you spark and sparkle the idea that you're an angel in the becoming and that we can help each other make a peaceful planet, that's good. So I'll see you next time. Robert of MayflowerBookshop.com at your higher self service.